is the enthusiast and classic car market in a total state of chaos? We are going to figure that out tonight because we have experts. Kelly Smith is here from Curious Office. We're going to talk to him, and we're going to tell you, should you be panicking? Let's get going. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. That's right, it is a game show, but we get serious, right? Hello, everybody. This is Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnik. I'll be your host for the next hour right here on Bid Nerds, coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas in the Rami studio right next to me, right over there. That's Kelly Smith. He's in Idaho from Curious Office. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing good, gentlemen. It's good to see you.
Excellent. And all the way on the other side of the screen, sandwiching poor Kelly there in the middle, is my partner, Michael Deeb, in San Francisco. What is up? We've got the whole West Coast going here. What's going on, Michael Deeb?
JP, a podcast, then pack the bags, and we are heading to Boise, Idaho, thanks to Kelly Smith and him deciding to produce an event for the state of Idaho about classic Porsches and having good coffee. Kelly, tell everybody the name of the event and the date and the hours, and then I'll write it all down so I know what time to get up in the morning on Saturday, May 10th to hang out at, I think, Air and Coffee, right?
That's right. Yeah. So May 10th, this coming Saturday, from 8 to 12, we're having an air-cooled only focused event here in Idaho, and we've hit our lot limit, so we're actually over 80 cars. To my knowledge, I think this is the largest such show, certainly in the state, maybe in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not really sure, but really looking forward to it. The reception has been amazing, and we're gonna have a blast. We're gonna have live music and coffee carts and food trucks and prizes and bags and T-shirts and posters. It's gonna be great.
So cool. So Kelly, I know you're lining the cars up in a parking lot. That's why you were hence limited to 80 cars. And I saw on an email for the tight circle that we're at 85 cars. So we're gonna put a few cars in a tree or something. But what is the host site? Is there a retail establishment that is going to be like the backdrop, or is that not an important feature of the show?
That's a really good question. So the space is owned by a gentleman named John Browning.
Mm-hmm. And, I know who that is.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Browning family has graciously offered up their space. And that building back there actually is his personal garage.
Oh, so that's awesome.
For the people coming, they're going to get wristbands, and they'll be able to go through and take a look at a dream garage back there as well.
That's so cool. And Mr. Browning is as I understand it, Randy tells us that Mr. Browning is a avid car nut like yourself and so many of our friends like Anthony and Randy and the other Group B heads in Boise, Idaho. Well, that's really exciting. I hope I didn't spoil a surprise, but I was just curious what the space was, and it sounds like we're going to have a really good time. I am so looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the long road trip, but I'm bringing my family, so we're going to drive to Boise and have a blast to be with you this weekend. JP, are you flying in, or are you going to drive your
I'm flying in. I'm coming in Thursday night, so we'll be ready to go. This is going to be exciting. What do you got? Like the limit was 80 cars, and you're packing 90 in there or something like that?
85.
You know what we did? So we actually there's a grass field just to one side of the lot. And we had a team of guys go through and kind of mow down that front row just in case there's overflow that comes in. And we've got it smooth, so I'm pretty happy. I mean, look, I've never done this before, so I don't know how this works. Do the exact numbers show up? Do more show up? Do less show up? We're all going to learn together.
Good times. All right. Well, let's get to it. All right, everybody, if you haven't already made plans, if you are in the Northwest, make your way to Boise this Saturday morning and check out Idaho Air and Coffee. And if not, you just have to wait for the video that we put out next week. All right. If you are new to the show, thanks for joining us tonight. What we do here on the show is we find the most interesting cars from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites, mostly Bring a Trailer, but sometimes Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, Haggerty, and more. We find those interesting listings and we analyze them. We make predictions. What do we think those listings will result as far as hammer prices. And we always start out every episode by reconciling our predictions from the last episode. That's right. We hold ourselves accountable. How weird is that for the internet? Before we get to reconciling those predictions from the last episode and then getting to new predictions, that's really the fun part. We just want to shout out to everyone out there who has been reaching out to us since my partner Michael Deeb and I have announced that we are now officially representing you folks out there. If you have considered selling your car on BAT or one of the other auction platforms, but you don't want to go through the hassle, you can now officially give us, the Bid Nerds, a call. Reach out to us, and it's a happy ending for every auction. That's what we are putting out there in the world. And we have a new website coming out here, bidnerds.biz. Should go live here in the next day or two, hopefully before the weekend. But if you're watching this episode a couple days from now, it should be live. So there it is. If you want to sell your car on BAT, give us a holler.
Did you hear that, Kelly? A happy ending for every auction. My partner, the marketing guru over there, going to get us banned from the FCC. Here we go.
There's no FCC on the internet. All right, let's get to some auction predictions. We made some predictions on the last episode on some very interesting cars. We always talk about the fact that we find the most interesting cars. This first one on the list really got my attention. I don't know if it got everyone else as excited as it did me.
Oh,
but
it sure
did. It lit BAT on fire. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, this 1983 Porsche 911 SC that has been treated to a super cool 959 cosmetic makeover, listed on Bring a Trailer out of Raleigh, North Carolina, with an odometer on our 83 SC donor car that is reading 99,000 miles. JP, it's mind-boggling to me that for 5 years, you and I have been covering every different type of 356 replica and Speedster replica and 904 Becks and some RS Spiders over the years. But this has to be the first 959 replica car that I can remember us covering. And the fit and finish, the execution of this kit, the proportions are just right. This car looks absolutely fantastic. And I even love the homage to those 959 style wheels. These are 17s and not the metrics, and they've got a much deeper dish in the back. But God, they just finish off this kit car so damn well. So this car is the bee's knees as far as eyeball, and then I kind of dig it. Like none of the 911s are going to ever be mistaken for a 959 interior, but the fact that this car is silver on burgundy just totally finishes it. So like the guy who picked this car for the donor car, well played, absolutely well played. If you could slap a Montana plate on this car, I think it deserves a built 3.6, and then you'd really be onto something. But JP, we had a bunch of numbers to unpack when we look at this 959 replica on our SC. So your basic SC from 83 is a $57,000 car. A modified, build SC typically brings $88,000. And just for good measure, JP, I pulled down from our friends at classic.com that the average 959 today is selling for about $1.7 million. John, our car was in the $20,000 or $30,000 range when we covered it, with a couple of days to go until it closed. With 57 being the average price on Classic for an SC, I thought our car, I thought it would go to $59,590. John, you took the over by like a couple $100. You went $59,959, covering me on the top. And we had Solomon Braun, everybody's favorite uncle and the king of rallies. Solomon was in studio with you in Las Vegas. Solomon, although he liked the car, his bid was much more tempered at just $49,900. So, Kelly, we're going to throw you to the fire. Welcome back to the show. It's always so fun to have you, and we're so looking forward to hanging out with you and your family and all of the Idaho Spud Syndicate this weekend. But before we get to that, we're gonna hold you to it. What do you think this 959 replica built on an SC would bring a trailer with the assets you see here?
That is such a great question. I can't imagine there's too many of these out here. So I have no idea, but the donor car probably is what represents a lot of the value. If it was built on something else, I would only imagine that would impact the price pretty significantly. So, maybe 62.
62. So Kelly's taking the over, and he's the smart one in the room. But JP, you didn't need me to tell you that. Still off by 30 grand, Kelly. Our car hammered for $92,959 where it's sold.
Wow.
Are you guys both sitting down? 64 bids. JP, you and I know that 64 bids probably took over a half an hour to close this thing, especially since when we covered it, it was in the $20,000 or $30,000 range. So this car might have taken an hour to close this car. But man, that is a really good number. Again, I am not pretending that you could build this car for less than $150,000 if you started down that road today. But to have this car for under 100, and again, Kelly, JP, when was the last time you saw a kit 959 that wasn't built on a Fiero that looks that good? I am totally impressed. And because I'm so impressed, I'm going to go ahead and say, well bought. Absolutely. Under 100 grand for a car that everybody would be like, wait, is that the real thing? For a minute, you'd have everybody's attention for a minute and they'd have to walk. If you pulled into Air and Coffee in Idaho this weekend at a 959, even Kelly
everyone
Smith
would think that Kelly got an actual 959 there.
Totally.
Look,
So,
I
JP,
went
well
over
bought.
you. I parked it a couple bucks over you because it was just a layup, right? But in my heart, I wanted to say this thing was going to bring over 100, and I really wanted to see that. I think this car has so much potential. I mean, here is a picture of a real one. And I mean, you look at the two, and it is tough. Our good friend Radu, friend of the show, he was in the studio yesterday. He's like, "Oh, the wheel arches are totally different. The tire size or whatever." And it's like, yeah, okay. There's a couple little things that weren't exactly right, but I mean, this thing. You could have a lot of fun with this car, fixing up the interior. I found these seats are available on BAT right now. They're already up to $12,000. Yeah. Oh, did they close? Yeah, I think they went for 12 grand.
They closed. They closed for
holy cow! Look at that.
$17,750. They closed today, JP. But yeah, they'd be a great fit.
Right. So you're right about one thing though. This car. It just languished for days. Like I'm sure that the poor seller was sweating bullets. I'm sure he's really happy right now, but like we're talking 9:30 at night, the day before this thing closed, it was only at like $35,000. And then before noon, 11:30 when it closed the next day, after all those bids, this thing basically tripled in price. That is amazing for a final, talk about a happy ending for an auction. These guys really, really got it. Love the car. Do a couple things to the interior. I think this car, if someone spent $20,000 to $30,000 redoing the interior and maybe like if you spent even $50,000 or $60,000 putting a real engine in this thing, I think this car could be worth a lot of money. Way cooler than RWB. Everyone has backdates and all these other cars. People are going, oh, let's clutch our pearls. It's not real. It's like nobody goes up to a long hood and said, that's not real. A backdated car. It's not a real long hood. It's who cares what it real or whatever. It's not like a fake Rolex or whatever. You can have a lot of fun with this car for how much is a real one? 1.7 million? You're not going to have $1.7 million with a fun, but you're going to have a lot more fun than the guy that has to spend a $1.7 million. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Kelly, what do you think of the results of that 959 replica?
To be honest, I'm actually really surprised because even though you don't see these very often, the last ones that I remember seeing were like below 40. So, Who knows what got it there. I'm really, really surprised. Either way, I do think this is probably a classic story of spend $150,000 to make a to make a $90,000 car, right? Like it would be really hard to replicate. So.
Yeah, it just depends on when they did it. I mean, and that's the other thing too, is the only other 959 replicas I've ever seen have been hot garbage. It's like crappy fiberglass work that doesn't line up, and they're built on just an absolute POS. There's one here in Las Vegas that drives around. We see it all the time, actually, and that literally has a screwdriver in the ignition. The guy doesn't even care, right? He just leaves it in parking lots. Anyone can get in this car, but nobody wants to. It'll never get stolen. All right, well, let's move on from this one. I think that was a lot of fun, but certainly interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments. And what was the next car that we made a prediction on? Let's try to get through these next ones quickly so we can get to some predictions.
JP, shout out the next car you got teed up, and I'll do it.
Let's see here. Let's go to the McLaren.
All right, so on Cars and Bids, we're going to circle back to our 2020 McLaren 600 LT Spider, showing just 9,900 miles from new. Twin turbo V8 with 600 horsepower, unmodified. The car is an absolute supercar. These were, hundreds of thousands of dollars. The question is, what do they bring today in the secondary market? And can this car find its buyer on Doug DeMuro's Cars and Bids site? Now, Cars and Bids, as we know, has a new CEO at the beginning of the year. They are effecting some changes. And over the last year or two, Doug has been selling more and more sports and exotic cars. Would this car stand a chance to find its new buyer on that site? JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a 600 LT Spider, actually a 600 LT Spider or Coupe, those numbers are combined, is just exactly $200,000. I thought our car had a chance at $198,600. John, you took the under beneath me at $197,000. And Solomon Braun, our good friend, in studio for the last show, Solomon parked about 10 grand underneath us, JP. Solomon's number was $189,900. Kelly, any love for the McLaren supercars? Like, does this do anything for you, or do like a lot of the rest of us, do all of the McLarens, all the modern McLarens look the same to you? And if you read the badge, you don't actually know what you're looking at.
I'm one of those people that is so confused by the naming conventions and everything else about these cars, but I have a lot of respect for them, and just the monocoque technology they pioneered. I think they're just amazing. I don't think I would buy one, but I think they're incredible cars for sure.
Yeah. Give us a number. What do you think this one would have brought on Doug DeMuro's site the other day?
I'm going to say 187.
187. All right. So our car did just a teeny bit better than all of us, hammering at $202,000, which is perfectly in line with Classic.com's average for the car. However, this one failed to sell at that number on a respectable 43 bids. So, JP, I'm going to start with you. This guy got what Classic says he should have got, and he didn't take it. Should he have taken the money? Did he just burn his own car? Yes, he should have
taken the money. What an idiot. I mean, this is one of these situations. Cars and Bids has just been sold. We've talked about that a couple times in the last few episodes. They need to get their act together, and part of getting their act together is convincing sellers to have realistic reserves. This is the kind of thing, this is the kind of nonsense that will get someone who might consider selling their car on the platform to go, nah, I'm not bothering. This is ridiculous. Why did this car not sell? If nothing else, they should have been like hitting this guy up going, hey, you might want to consider lowering the reserve. What could this guy's reserve have possibly have been? When I bid under you, Deeb, I thought this was as easy a layup as that 959. I thought there's no way this thing is breaking $200,000, especially on Cars and Bids with these lousy assets. I mean, the photos suck. The car is great, I guess, if you're into this sort of thing. But let's face it, interest rates didn't go down today. This is the kind of car. I just don't think of the type of person that buys something like this, buys it with cash. This is definitely someone that's leveraging themselves, somebody that wants, the McLaren street driver is just an odd duck to me. I'm just not feeling this car, and I think the market on these is just steadily going to go down for I don't see these coming up for years. Kelly, what do you think of that result?
Yeah, I'm actually, even though it didn't hit reserve, I still thought it would come in under that, obviously, because I bid lower than that. It's pretty remarkable that here's another example of a $200,000 car that's shot in the rain in a parking garage, just all over the place. I thought my photos were bad. Now I feel better.
Cars and bids, not
terrible photos.
Cars and bids with no gatekeeper. I mean, look, the thing is, the reason why it probably didn't sell is because it has a loan on it. So it probably wouldn't have been enough money to pay it off for the guy. The guy who owns this car is probably upside down on it. He probably owes more than that. Otherwise, there's just no other reason to not take that money. That's insane. The only reason that he didn't close this is because he probably would have had to have written a $25,000 check to do it. So let us know what you guys think. Yeah, go ahead.
There's an interesting aspect, JP, too, is that he said no to the 202, but the guy who hammered at 202 is basically committed to about $210,000 with the buyer's premium. The seller wants the 210 to himself, but it's like, hey man, if you got to work with the platform, like you got the money, that's your offer. You should have taken it. So yeah, JP, very interesting result.
And this is part of the chaos that we're seeing left and right in the market. There's, people are going, oh, prices are going down, or oh, prices are spiking, or whatever. But what's really chaotic in the market is I think that the craziest thing that we're seeing is the buyers and sellers' expectations. Sellers have unrealistic expectations, and buyers are coming in thinking that they can steal stuff. So I think until we get an equilibrium on that, even if market confidence is there across the board, people are just too weird right now. People have just drastically different perceptions of what's actually happening in the economy. And I think that's something to talk about more. But let's move on to the next car and see if this gives us more evidence of continued chaos. What's the next car? Let's go with the Lambo next.
Yeah. All right, JP. So let's check in on the Lamborghini. Now, we kind of rushed through this car on the last show. This is a very pretty car, JP. This Lamborghini Islero that was running on Bring a Trailer as a premium listing. This is one of Lamborghini's first efforts at making a front-engine 12-cylinder car. This is one of the early cars. 125 examples of this first series were built. This car is number 104 in that sequence as a 1968 Islero. 3.9 liter 4-cam V12 with 6 Weber carburetors and a fantastic 5-speed manual transmission and some 15-inch magnesium Campagnolo wheels. JP, this car will sound incredible, and it's still a looker. I mean, look how pretty that car is. It's beautiful. Really interesting. Now, JP, this car's had a very interesting life in the public eye. Bonham sold this car in January of 2021 for $184,000. Mecum failed to sell this car in April of 2024 at $190,000. And then later that year, they ran the car a second time with Bonhams in Monterey in August, where it failed to sell a second time in the calendar year at $170,000. So JP, if you look at August of 24 and where we're sitting at here in May, I am going to just go out right now and say this car has come back to the public arena too soon to bring a premium number over its own most recent comp. And I think that was this car's biggest cross to carry as it ran on Bring a Trailer here just the other day. So beautiful car, premium listing, very fair assets, but its own FTSs in the last calendar year are its own worst comps towards trying to find an ultimate retail value for the car. And JP, the reality is a first series Islero should be a $255,000 conversation, but this car is going to be hamstrung by its 190 and 170 FTSs. With that in mind, JP, my bid was just $155,000. You took the under way underneath me, JP. Your bid was only $130,000. And Solomon Braun, our dear friend, was in studio on the last episode. Solomon gave us a bid closer to me, JP, at $149,900. So Kelly, I know you know your way around the retail world and the auctions and stuff like this. This car failed to sell twice last year, and now here it is on Bring a Trailer in the spring. It's too soon. Nice assets, beautiful car, but come on, there's no way, right? What do you think this car would have hammered for on BAT?
I think these are beautiful cars, but I don't know, the market values for these. I've just never looked. But you sort of mentioned should go for over 200 all day long earlier. So my sense is there's more to this story than we know, because it's probably if it's a $140,000 car, then it's probably, I would guess, the cheapest one for sale out there. Mm-hmm. So there's probably more to the story. Don't know what that is, but that just if it's not going for 150, it seems like something's wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know how you guys feel about it. So the question is, what might that be? What's going on here?
What's your number?
Give us a bid.
I'm gonna say 166.
Excellent bid. Again, it's last comp was in Monterey at 170 with Bonhams. Here, the car hammered for $169,000, where it failed to sell on 63 bids. So I'm just saying, for whatever it's worth, this car, whether this car should stand up and be a $200,000 car or not, this car with its own failures to sell, according to the market, is only worth 170. And like I said, this car has been saturated in the public eye. The only way this car is going to sell is privately from this point, or you put it away and you bring it back in a couple of years. And who's going to wait around and maintain a Lamborghini just to try and get 20 grand more? Should have taken the money, because the public has spoken 3 times in the last 12 months. So there you go, guys. What do you think of that result, JP?
I don't feel bad for the seller. I think, at this point, he should have read the writing on the wall and taken that money. The guy I feel bad for is the other 2 or 3 people that actually have one of these, because this guy single-handedly ruined the market for this car. There are no comps for these. There are hardly any of these for sale. So now all of a sudden you've got this one that's been in the market 2 or 3 times within the last couple of years, and it's failing to sell left and right. I think that just does not bode well for the model in general. Countages and Diablos are bringing $500,000 easily. I think the young timers are the market that are driving the sales on most cars these days, and I think that the young timers just aren't even aware that this car exists. As beautiful as it is, as awesome as it is, they just don't know. Nobody cares. Nobody that just cashed out their stock options or whatever, or just sold their startup or whatever, is looking for one of these. Nobody had a poster of this on their wall ever. Beautiful car, but I think the values of these are going to continue to go down. I'm with you, D. I'm with you. I do think it should be a $150,000, $180,000 car, $200,000 car. It certainly looks like a $200,000 plus car. But I think the days of anyone getting that for one of these are pretty much over. What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The people who want a Lamborghini these days, they want a wing on the car. They want the car that they envision when they think of the name. And the people who are going to buy a car like this, that crowd is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're older, and they're probably just not out there thinking, oh, I should go buy a $200,000. So it's just kind of in no man's land, right?
Yep.
It's just a car in no man's land.
Yeah, predates the young timer movement, and there's just almost zero demand for these cars. And this one is as burnt as we've seen a car get in the last 2 years. So there you go.
Talk about Italian cars that aren't bringing any money. Let's get to this last one so we can get to some predictions. What's this last car, Deeb?
Kelly, I'm going to give you one guess as to who picked this car for the show. And if you said Randy Bloom, you'd be right. We're going to circle back to Randy's 1996 Maserati Quattroporte 2.8. But Kelly, it gets better than this. It's in kilometers, 70,000 kilometers, which is about 44,000 miles, a twin turbocharged 2.8 liter with a 4-speed automatic transmission. Randy, what are you doing to the show? Oh my God. Anyways, here we go. This car is, holy God, nobody wants this car. So JP, according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a Quattroporte 2.8 is just $15,000. I guessed that this car, because it was at like $8,000 when we were covering it, I guessed this car was going to get $12,000 when it hammered earlier today. John, you took the under at $10,000. And Solomon Braun, our good friend, Solomon was in studio. His bid was just $8,400. Solomon basically saying it was going to get like one more bid and be done. Kelly, I know you love Italian cars, but even you couldn't get it up for this pile of junk. I mean, talk about back a book. What do you think this car would have hammered for, with a reserve, I might add, on Bring a Trella just the other day?
All right. I'm going to give you my bid, but I must say I think it's cool this car was picked. I think they look beautiful.
Absolutely.
They're just pure style. I absolutely love these cars. My bid's going to be, I'm going to say $10,100.
All right, so you're right there by JP. So believe it or not, this car did better than all of us by hammering at $13,850. However, it failed to sell at that number on just 18 bids. I'm just going to say this. If this car was a manual, it would have got $5,000 more and it would have sold. It might have even got to 20 with a manual. And I dig the cars as well. JP was out here in California a couple of years ago and did a bi-turbo for our dear friend Rafi, and did some really beautiful driving videos with this really cool gold Maserati bi-turbo SI. This is sort of the spiritual son
get that
of
car out of your mouth. That car doesn't deserve to be in the same category as this hot pile of crap. Look at this stupid thing.
It's automatic.
You think this thing looks? It's autotragic and it's 4 doors. Oh, it's hideous. Look, I agree that this car has the exact same problem that the last car had. The Lamborghini failed to bring $200,000 because young timers don't know it and don't appreciate it. This car is the kind of car that, by the numbers, the young timers should be scrambling for. It's a 90-something Italian, Euro sedan that if you're in your 30s and 40s and have a bunch of money, or maybe don't have as much money as the guy that can afford the Lambo, but you still want something cool. If you go to Radwood, it's full of cars from this era. Just about everything that's even remotely cool from this era is selling. But the young timers don't know about this car because it was never here in America. They didn't import these,
right.
And it was never in a video game. So this car is invisible. No one was paying attention to this. It was skipped just in a sea of other cars on BAT. They're selling 125 cars a day, roughly. I don't see anyone slowing down their scroll to even see what this is. But what do you guys think? What do you think of that result, Kelly?
Look at that Gandini rear wheel arch.
Yes,
it's just classic.
What did you call me?
Right?
All right, let's move on. It's time. What do you guys think of the results? Let's get to some predictions right after a word from our Smiths. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, I am looking at my Our Smiths Aviera custom watch, and I am excited because I know it's time for predictions. I know Michael Deeb is wearing his, and I know Kelly Smith is pretty excited about the watch that was built specifically for Idaho Air. Tell us about that really quick. I should have brought some pictures of it up.
I should have had a picture ready. No, Anthony has just very graciously put in a lot of time and work to build a special watch just for the event. He wisely decided to offer, I think, 9 more or maybe 10 more for sale. But yeah, we're going to announce it at the show, and some lucky winner is going to get the watch. And,
have you decided how you're going to do it? Are you going to do like raffle tickets, or are you going to auction it, or is it going to go to the best in show? Are we judging the cars at the show? I don't even know.
Well, you know what we're going to do? You guys are coming over to the house the night before. We're going to have a couple of beers, and we're going to talk it out.
All right, it's up to me.
We're going to wing it. We're going to wing it. We're going to wing it.
All right, excellent. Everything decided over beer is better. All right, let's get to some predictions. For those of you who are in the Nerd Herd, we love you guys. You guys are what makes this show happen. You're hanging out with us live when we do this show every Wednesday and Sunday night at 6:30, and it makes it so much more fun to do it. Seeing your comments, I wish I could interact with every one of the comments and get them up on screen, but it's just trying to do too much at the same time. So thank you guys. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and like button. If you haven't subscribed already, if you're new to the channel, please do that now. And remember, if you're considering selling your car on BAT or one of the auction sites, give Bid Nerds a call. We will help you out with that. Every auction has a happy ending with Bid Nerds. All right, let's move on to some predictions. The first car on the list is the car. And before we get to this, because this is a car that is being represented by yours truly, the Bid Nerds, Michael Deeb and I. This is our first official Bid Nerd sale, and we need to nominate, since I can't bid on the car since we're representing it, and my partner Michael Deeb can't bid on it, Kelly can bid on it. We need to pick some pitch hitters. Deeb, pick someone in the audience in the nerd herd to be your proxy bid.
Kevin Bodeman, will you bid for me, please?
Man, look at that. He's going to Kevin. Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, will you bid for me, please, and make it over 150 grand? Thank you very much.
That's right. All right. Well, I select from the – so here's the thing. When in grade school, when they lined up all the kids to pick, who was on the team, I was always last. I was very, very short, still am. But I'm going to pick – so I'm going to pick the tallest, strongest guy in the room. Of course, OG, original nerd herd, Ross Churchhouse is my proxy bidder tonight. Ross, you're going to make the bid for me for our 308 GT4. Check this out. Michael Deeb, drum roll, please. Boom.
Yeah, JP, Ross is in New Zealand. I think the car is already closed there, so maybe Ross knows what it's going to
bring. He is in the future. That's true.
Right? Yeah, so he hasn't had lunch yet. But anyway, all right. JP, without further ado, BidNerd's first listing is this incredible 79 Ferrari Dino 308 GT4. Thank you, Bring a Trailer, for not putting Dino in the heading. What the heck was that all about? I don't know. I don't believe we missed it. We are running this car no reserve, and the car is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Shout out to JP and Lee Patet for taking these incredible assets. The rolling shots out at Red Rock Canyon are spectacular. So much so, JP, if I don't spoil what you might have been planning, Bring a Trailer has used Lee and JP's assets for one of their Instagram posts. They posted like 7 or 8 of these photos on Instagram. Was it yesterday, JP? Really
great.
Yeah,
they kind of hit all their socials yesterday with this stuff.
That was really cool. So the fact that they were pushing our Bid Nerds first content is just a great endorsement that they like what they see. And how could you not? First of all, this car is so cool. Kelly, speaking of Gandini, check it out. Look who's on line one. One of Marcello Gandini's finest efforts while working for Bertoni in Era. This was the only Bertoni designed Ferrari. And despite having a back seat, these cars had a great geometry and a little bit longer wheelbase and are one of the better handling Ferraris in period. This is a car that could actually run with a 911 or a 911 turbo on a back road. The 79s are Series 2 cars, which unfortunately, because of ever stringent U.S. emissions, made a little less horsepower, but you're still talking about 215 to 220 horsepower. A car like this on a New York plate is probably smog exempt. I think the smog equipment is actually off of this car. You probably uncork a few horsepower and you put some Onza tips, and this car sounds terrific. That gated manual, while it's intimidating to use the first 1 or 2 times you drive the car, it becomes second nature before you know it. And the steering and the noise and the throttle response and the handling, it all just comes together in a mesmerizing, very Italian way. Driving this car, running one of these cars for fun is just super intoxicating. The car looks stunning in its black colorway with the red interior. Black over red is still a hot combination today. Every manufacturer is still producing this colorway. Ferrari is way ahead of its time. The car just looks simply fantastic. It also has the optional slightly wider Campagnolo magnesium wheels. These are 14 by 7.5. And Kelly, I know you're an Italian car guy. You know that these are like an $8,000 set of wheels or a $12,000 set of wheels just for that extra half-inch wide lip on the end of the car. So they'll fill out 205 14s a little bit better than the standard wheel that would have come on there. So some really nice touches. The owner of the car, JP, has had the car for about 15 years. During that time, he commissioned a repaint in black. They re-dyed the Connolly leather and the carpets. And then mechanically, he's gone through the car from tip to toe. Everything on this car has been touched. As such, the car presents as an incredible driver condition car. And John, you and Rami have had this car in Vegas with you for going on almost 2 months now and have enjoyed driving this car, bringing it out for some of the rolling shots and some of the videos. You've taken the car to some marketing events. And every time you guys drive the car, I'm on a text thread and I keep hearing about how all of you are gushing over this car. So the car is running no reserve. It's on BAT. JP, Bid Nerds have had a really fantastic first splash with this listing. Unbelievable engagement, great questions. There was a guy that came on here recently that is doing like a like a listing site for all of the, he's basically trying to keep track of all the GT4 Dino chassis. So he's got a great thing. He put the link to his site on there. If you get a chance, go through the comments, follow the link. It's a beautiful website he made as like a registry for GT4 owners. Really, really great stuff. I can't say enough, JP. I'm super excited that this turned out to be our first car. We've had a blast working with the client. And his brother, which is listed as second commission, which we'll talk about. We'll probably tease at the end of the show. But this car is off to a great start, JP. Take it from here. You've driven the car a lot over the last 3 months. Tell us what it's like for you to drive the Dino. How fun we had with Lee taking the shots. It snowed that day out at Red Rock. Look at those dramatic skies. I mean, like, could you imagine that we could have had more fun with the first listing than this? Like, we're so Porsche heavy, and then somebody throws us a vintage Ferrari, and like, it couldn't have gone better. What do you think, JP?
I am so proud of this listing. This has been so much fun to represent this car, and I've never had the opportunity to drive one of these until now, and I am smitten with this car. There's something about the proportions of everything inside of the car. Like, the gear shift knob is kind of like, you think of a gear shift knob as like the size, bigger than a golf ball or whatever, but this one's just like a little smaller. All the proportions are a little bit smaller in this thing, and it just makes it feels a little delicate, but then when you shift it, you're like, yeah, this thing, it doesn't feel like it's going to break. Everything just feels like it's supposed to. That mechanical engagement is everything inside this car. It's not terribly fast, but it's the ultimate slow car fast feeling. When you're behind the wheel, this thing, it's screaming, that V8 behind you, high RPMs. It feels like you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you're not. This is so much more fun to drive than your typical like 911 SC. And of course, I love 911 SCs. If this were as reliable as a 911 SC, I would say that this is absolutely the better car. But because it's still Ferrari and does require some maintenance, that's the only thing that I think would hold these cars back in general. But the thing about this car, talking to the owner, he did a lot of the maintenance himself. You can actually access the timing belts on these. It's not like the engine has to come out. This car is actually terribly, terribly easy to maintain for a classic Italian car. So it's a car that I think is really accessible, not just in price for a Ferrari, but in general. I think this is the kind of car, if you were thinking of getting into a classic Ferrari, this is definitely the one that you want to start with. You don't want to start with a Mondial or 348 or one of those cars that are just absolutely super heavy in maintenance. This car you can get into and just look great every time you drive it. It's funny because Rami has it in his garage right now, next to his Turbo 964 and his 993 RS and his roof and all these just spectacular cars. But, he's out there in the burbs. He opens up the garage and he's got the lifts, and everyone's walking by wanting to ask him about the Ferrari. He's like, what the hell, man? This car's worth a quarter of all the other cars in my garage. Kelly, what do you think of the Ferrari Dino?
I am so intrigued by these cars. I mean, I'm intrigued by all 4-seat Ferraris, but I think the value for money here is perhaps second to none. I think it's beautiful. I think you just get so much theater for the money. And, they're not going to get any cheaper, I don't think. Like, it's just a ton of car and great value. It's beautiful. You guys are going to meet my daughter when we're up here. I like these 4-seaters because she always wants to go everywhere, where we go on the weekends, and she goes in the back seat. I have a 4-seat Ferrari, as you know, so I have a soft spot for cars like this. And I love it. And by the way, I'll say you guys make it look fantastic. These assets are incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's beautiful.
It does kind of remind me of that Lancia you had with the cool livery on it and stuff like that. But look at this driving. This is, we didn't get to drive it out, do the driving video out there on Red Rock because it was just raining and stuff, and we didn't want to go too crazy out there. But just the sound of this thing is so glorious. Just driving it around the neighborhood. Let's see if we can get.
Absolutely.
Listen to that. That is just glorious. Oh, I want this car so hard. All right, Michael Deeb, let's get to some numbers. I know that you and I can't bid, but we need some bids from our proxy bids, and then we'll let Kelly give it a shot. What do we got?
All right. So, JP, a lot to unpack. First of all, I just want to bring everybody's attention. John, I think it's inaccurate. I do think you have to drop the motor to change the timing belt on these cars.
Okay.
Which does make it involved, and that's part of the reason why these cars are considered higher maintenance than a Porsche. But if you get the timing belt on there, and if somebody sets up the carbs, because it's a 4-cam, 4-carb car, if you get them set up, the car should be reliable between your timing belt intervals. You got a pretty expensive annual service every year and I say expensive only because all the parts are Ferrari parts. But you know, if one is set up correctly, and like I said, this guy spent 15 years developing this car, then they should be a pretty reliable car. It's a car you can go out on, JP, and it should get you home and have a lot of fun in the process. John, I also want to bring to everyone's attention that there are over 500 photos in this listing, and most of them come from the seller who did a lot of the maintenance himself. So everything, the brakes, the AC, the exhaust, the suspension, like he's gone through the whole car. JP, our car is running no reserve. It's currently listed at $31,500, and that comes to us by way of, let me just scroll down here through all the photos.
While you're doing that, I just want to bring up, before you get to that, I just want to bring up, look at this. This is the timing belt. Somebody's going to have to, someone's going to have to let us know for sure, because I don't know definitively. My partner, I usually go to him when it comes to Italian car stuff, but I think these are pictures of him changing the timing belt in the damn car. I mean, I don't know about that. That's impressive. Yeah. Maybe it's, I mean, the Ferrari shop, the Ferrari garage will tell you that the engine has to come out because they know that they can just charge you for that. But I think real mechanics have figured this stuff out. There's enough of a community around this car where a lot of people on the forums will, have gotten together and they've found the hacks, right? The way to not have to go down to the Italian repair shop because, the hourly rate at those is pretty darn crazy. And then also I wanted to bring up a question that we had from one of the Nerd Herd members who hit me up on, let's see here, on Instagram. Deeb, you had mentioned something about this car being a combination of steel and fiberglass, the body. I don't quite understand any of that. Is this, so who does? What? Yeah.
I wouldn't have said that. There's no fiberglass on this car.
Getting into the Ferrari 308 fiberglass, steel, and aluminum construction. I don't know. Lucas was sent a video about it. I sent it to you on Instagram. Apparently you didn't get it. Well, I guess we'll have to talk about that on the other side. But either way, this car is awesome. Just wanted to get some of those details sorted out.
Okay. According to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of a Ferrari Dino 308 GT4 is $71,000. Our car is currently at bid to $31,500 on 10 bids, running no reserve, and it closes tomorrow. JP, I'm officially going to recuse myself from bidding, but Kevin Bodeman put in a bid for me at $95,000, which is really high. Kelly, you know these cars. You're going to be a bit more pragmatic. What do you think this car will hammer for when it closes tomorrow?
Well, hold on. I'll give. We always let our third nerd guest bid last because that's the most, that's the easiest position to bid from. So Ross gave me a bid. Let's see here. What did Ross say? I had it here. Okay, Ross says $88,308. I like your style, Ross. Adding the 308 at the end. Love it. Love it. All right.
So big. So
now it's your turn, Kelly. Sorry, we were a little clunky on that one.
Yeah,
I like these cars. I think I said earlier it's a lot of theater for the money. I think they're great. The range I think on these is all over the place. And assuming this is not a completely restored car, you sort of covered that. I would say that if you got the car for 62, 63, 60 high fives, I think it's a great. That would be a fantastic purchase.
I'd say
50. I'd say 50. I'm going to say 60 even.
Okay, very good. I think we would be happy to get to that number, and we will see what happens. Our car closes tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. Pacific time. Anybody in the Nerd Herd that feels like dropping a comment on there, we would love to hear from you. All that engagement really gets the juices flowing on all of our underbidders. Thank you to the Nerd Herd for all the people that have gone on and said really nice things about the assets and about the car and about the idiots that are listening in the car. So thank you, everyone in the Nerd Herd. This is going to be a fun close tomorrow, JP. Maybe we jump on and do a little podcast to see how the thing closes tomorrow if we have time.
What time does it close tomorrow?
12:15 p.m. is when the action starts.
12:15 p.m. That's Pacific time, I take it?
Yep, that's our time, yeah.
All right, we might have to do that. Thanks, guys, and thanks for all the interaction. I am so excited to see what this one does. Thanks for everyone who's DM'd us with stuff, whether or not we know the details or not. I can tell you that this car is absolutely awesome, and I am so jealous of whoever winds up getting it. And someone will get it, because if we haven't said it enough times, this car is no reserve. Someone will own this car tomorrow, and unfortunately, it's probably not going to be me, but I wish it were. All right, we've spent a lot of time on the Great Ferrari, and thanks for our proxy bidders out there in the Nerd Herd. Let's move on and make some new predictions. I like to do in the proxy bid. We're going to have to do that every time we sell a car through Bid Nerds. What do you guys think of that? Let us know. And let's move on to the next car. Let's go to the Aston. Are you queued up with that one, Deep?
Yeah, let's go. So, JP, I found this 2009 Aston Martin V8 Vantage Coupe with a 6-speed manual and just 19,000 miles on the odometer. Now, JP, one of my big pet peeves about this car is a lot of these cars have some hideous interiors and some really weird, wonky, like greens and things like that. This car looks very buttoned up and very sophisticated, and it's like sort of Atlas gray, if you're an Audi fan, like an Atlas gray metallic with an all black leather and some pick stitching, red brake calipers, and of course the aforementioned 6-speed manual transmission. The 4.7 liter V8 makes about 420 horsepower. And Kelly, JP, if you guys have ever driven in one of these, it's so interesting because it's either it doesn't have a flat plane crank, or the firing order is exactly like that of a NASCAR. This car sounds like an American V8 rather than some sophisticated, high-revving European V8, which I always thought was kind of funny. If you roll down the window and you're in the fast lane next to like a dividing wall on the freeway and you accelerate in this car, you'd swear you're at Talladega, and it's an Aston Martin, which I always thought was really funny. But a car that was designed to compete with the 911, JP, these cars were certainly a commercial success for Aston, and I think Aston enjoyed a renaissance of design in this era, this era of the Aston designs. These were some of the sexiest cars on the road. So our car is off to a really good start, JP. Look, I know if you're going to spend the 50 or 60 grand that it would take to buy a car like this with low miles, there's a lot of offerings from Porsche that would sway you. But if you were the guy that had to do something different, if you had an English grandmother, maybe this is the car for you. What do you think, JP? Any love for that?
Well, let's get right to numbers, because we've gone long on the other stuff, so we have some predictions to make. So let's just go right to the numbers. What do you got, Deep?
All right. Our car is currently sitting at $47,000, and it closes tomorrow. According to our friends at Classic.com, the V8 Vantage usually $42,000. So it's already over that amount. It's the low odometer and I think the mature colorway that are driving this one. JP, my bid on this Aston for BAT is $58,000. What's your bid? It's at 47 now.
It's at 47 already, which really surprises me, honestly. I mean, this just goes to show you that 3-pedal cars are worth so much more than the Auto Tragic versions. Most of these only have 2 pedals, and if it had 2 pedals, I'd be shocked if this car even brought in the mid 30s. So I'm gonna go 60 grand and say that it brings it because of those 3 pedals. What do you think, Kelly?
I'm going to go 56.5.
56.5.
Very bearish. JP, any love for those assets? I mean, those are really good photos, I think.
I mean, yeah, there are some really good shots here. I do really like this car in general. This is the bigger engine, right? Does that mean it's a 4.7 or
4.7 liter? Yeah. This is a V8
but that is the bigger engine. Aren't the earlier versions 4.3s, like the 2006 or something like that?
No, I think they were all 4.7s. The only alternative was to get a car with a V12. So the Vantages were all 4.7 liter V8s. They all made about 420 horsepower.
When did they go to a bigger V8? Was that not till 2010 or 11 or something like that?
I'm the wrong guy to ask you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I thought you're the guy. I was going to this is the 4.7, 4.3, whatever. It has 3 pedals. It's the better car. Let's move on. What's the next car we got?
All right, JP, I picked this car. Look at this. 2010 Porsche 911 Carrera S Coupe with a 6-speed manual and just 18,000 miles on the odometer. JP, the window stickers included in this one. We've got the sport exhaust. We've got the adaptive sport seats. I mean, just a really nice car. This 997.2 S with a manual was $102,000. 385 horsepower, never looked so good. I just really like this car. It's Arctic silver with black adaptive sport seats. The red brake calipers, manual transmission, rear wheel drive. There is a lot to like here. So JP, we talked about, because of the global economy at this era, 997.2 911s with manuals in any specification, base, S, GTS, or otherwise, are just really hard to find. And this one, while these are some of the worst assets I've ever seen, the car is so good. I almost think it will overcome the poor assets and still bring, I think this car is going to ring the bell at a really high number. So JP, without further ado, our car doesn't close until, ends in 4 days from now. So the car is going to close on Sunday, May 11th, and it's at $68,000 on 16 bids. According to our friends at Classic.com, a 911S Coupe with a manual is typically a $67,000 car, and it's already above that number, and it's got 4 days to go. So, JP, I think this car is going to bring $80,000 when it closes. I dare you to go above my bid. $80,000 for a 911S with a manual. You think it's going to get more than that?
Yeah, man, this car with low miles, I don't remember ever seeing one of these. We haven't seen one of these for sale forever. And I'm going to say it right now that, frankly, this is a better car than anything Porsche currently sells unless it has a GT in the name. There's no car that Porsche makes. You can keep your GT4, your GT4 RS. You can keep your 992 whatever T, blah, 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 blah. Don't care. Don't want it. Don't want any of that nonsense. All the turbos and the little engines and stuff like that. This is a 3.8 liter with 6 speeds. This is the way that 911s should be right now, but they're not. This is the size of the car. This is the perfect size modern 911. It's going to bring all the money, and not just because they parked it in front of an airplane. I'm going to give this thing $98,997 and pass it on to Kelly, who owns a 997, if I remember correctly, among many others.
I do. It's my favorite model to drive for all the reasons that you said. The size, it's a great car. What was the mileage on it? One more time.
18,000 original miles, and it's just so well equipped. Kelly, PASM sport suspension, sport exhaust, and then the adaptive sport seats, which I think make a big difference.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 83.
83, right by me.
I mean, so we've covered. Didn't we cover a GTS manual that went for over 100? I mean, that was why would a GTS is going to be over 100? Why wouldn't this bring in the high 90s? I just don't. I mean, this is so much better car than any. Anyways, all right. What do you guys think? Let us know, and let's move on. We got one more car. We still have time for one more car, right? Yeah, let's do it.
All right, one more car. Let's jump over to Cars and Bids.
Yeah.
Jump over to Cars and Bids to check out this 2022 Maserati Levante Modena S. This is the 550 horsepower twin turbo 3.8 liter V8 that is basically a Ferrari derived motor. And then they finally decided to take this excellent drivetrain and put it in the Maserati because Maserati couldn't sell this car. They couldn't give them away in this country. So what they did is put in a lot more horsepower, charge a few more bucks, and try to keep the dealer network alive. And let me tell you, I still think the dealer network is on life support. This car is painted in a very eye-catching Giallo Modenese yellow paint with shiny black wheels. I don't know if that does it for me on my Maserati SUV, but I'm telling you that drivetrain is everything, and it'd be a blast to drive. Located out of Roanoke, Texas, and showing just 5,500 miles from new. This is basically a Ferrari Roma SUV. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know, you know. So, JP, without further ado, according to our friends at classic.com, the basic Maserati Levante, not necessarily the Modena S, but all of the Levantes, on average, bring $43,000, which is, I think, wholly inaccurate for this car. JP, I think this car should bring, God, I hate to say this, like, I think this car should bring 20 grand more. I'm going to go $63,000 and say, yeah, I do think Doug DeMuro could sell this one. So 63 is my bid. I should tell you that it's currently at $37,000 on 15 bids. It's getting some action, but it's got a couple days until it closes. So from 43, JP, I'm going to give you my bid at 63. I know you're going to take the under, but how much are you going to undercut me by? 10 grand or 2 grand?
Yeah, I think finally this is something that Doug DeMuro can sell. This is the best deal on the internet right now. This is the SUV you want if you were thinking of buying an Urus, because you could buy this for, I don't know, I'm going to say $49,999, and you could blow up the engine every year you drive it for 5 years. So because you're going to have to get a loan, because if you want this car, you don't have $50,000. You're going to have to go down, your credit union is probably not going to give you a loan. You're going to have to call your credit card. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to have to, beg, borrow, and steal. You get your 50 grand or $49,999. And look, you can blow up the engine. Just make sure you leave enough room on your credit card so you can pay for a new engine every year. Kelly, what's your number?
It's all about the mileage with this one. I can't imagine these cars do very well in general, but it's about the mileage here. So I'm going to say 53.5.
53.5.
That's a lot of car for the money.
It is,
right?
It really is, actually.
It really is. Yeah.
Oh,
and it's a rocket. It's an absolute rocket ship. But just miss me with that yellow. It's just too much for me. JP, that's a show.
It is. Really quick, I just want to tease the car that is next up for Bid Nerds. We've got the Toronado. Check that out. This car is so badass. It is live on Bid Nerds. Go check it out and say you saw it on Bid Nerds. I don't know if we're going to be able to do a show Sunday night, because I doubt either one of the nerds will be home in time, because we'll be getting back to our respective states from Idaho Air. So maybe we'll do a show Monday night. I don't know. Michael Deeb and I will talk about that offline.
We'll figure it out. We got to do a show Monday night so we can cover the Toronado before it closes on Tuesday, I think.
That's
but
right.
Jump onto the Toronado and leave us a comment and tell everybody you saw it on the Bid Nerds, please.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Anything else you want to plug, as well as Idaho Air?
No, I'm just so happy you guys are coming. Can't wait to see you, and we're going to have a good time.
All right, get that beer chilling. All right, guys, we will see you maybe Monday night and watch those auctions. And there it is. Happy ending for every auction. That's Bid Nerds.